Hey guys, welcome back to Cryptech Mining. Today I want to talk about server maintenance. Obviously I've got these things out here, we'll talk about those in a moment. Now, let me tell you what I've done here, why I've done it, and why you guys should keep up on top of this if you're still mining at the moment. If your rigs are off, this is probably the best time to do it. Obviously I'm still mining, so obviously I turned these off for a bit and got it done today. Okay, so obviously the reason I did this is because I want to keep the heat down. Second of all, we're going into summer and obviously it's going to start getting hot. And obviously I want to make sure there's no dust within this before the heat comes, because that's going to cause me problems. Alright, so let's head over to the bench here and let's talk about these items. So I've got a few things out here. Some of you are going to obviously go, oh yeah, I know what all that is. Awesome, cool. If you do, awesome. Okay, but the first thing I want to talk about for you guys who don't know is obviously your GPUs. You want to make sure you're getting all that dust out, okay, because that dust is obviously going to ruin the integrity of your card and obviously make those temperatures higher. Now, let's talk about when we're doing a full maintenance to the card. I'm saying pulling the whole thing apart, okay? So the one thing I want to mention for the beginners is when you're pulling the cards apart, as you can see on this one, there's no thermal pads in between the back plate. And I said back plate for a reason, but some cards do have it on the back plate. So make sure you keep that in mind when you're doing your thermal pads, because you're going to need to change those as well, okay? So now, this rig here, so obviously you got to think about different reasons as to why you got to do this maintenance. Obviously, you paid a lot of money for this stuff. You don't want to, obviously, lose those cards. You want to make sure they always keep running. And also, when you're doing it, make sure you use a reputable thermal paste. I use Thermal Grizzly. It's really good. Now, for dust cleaning, I use the X3 Hurricane. It has a lot of pressure on it. I'll show you. Yeah. So, as you can see, it's really loud. And that's what you want. Now, yeah, see, that's what I mean. I can blow that from, you know, a distance and it moves, which is good. Now, obviously, I can use that on my cards, I can use it on my power supplies, I can do all those kind of things. But anyways, talking about that, let's talk about thermal pads. So thermal pads, obviously, you're going to have different sizes. You always want to make sure, if you're having GPU errors, you want to look at doing full maintenance on the card. I'm talking thermal pads, thermal paste, everything. Okay, just to ensure that that's working fine. Now, let me just quickly talk about power supplies. Obviously, there's not much you can do except for dust clean them out. Make sure you get any dust from any fans out as best you can. Obviously, don't open it up. Obviously, that's a risk to yourself, and obviously, you don't want to risk blowing that up. Now, let's talk about the riser and these cables here that I've got. So, the first thing is that if you're using one of these cables, I can only recommend one thing, and that is to pretty much just go, nah, see you later. Don't use it, please, please. Too many people have had fires and things happen with those, using those. All right, now this here, obviously, you got your riser. Now, I had a GPU error earlier today, which I had to rectify. I'll show you which card it was because it was giving me grief. I tried everything, and obviously, it could be anything. From there to the motherboard, it could be anything. But that card there was giving me grief. I did maintenance on it. I did do thermal pads, thermal paste. I cleaned all the dust out. Everything was perfect. Okay, so I did all of that and it just didn't work, but that's just unfortunate. That's just the way things happen sometimes. Okay, so anyways, I did all that and I plugged it in and it didn't work. So I plugged it into a Windows PC and it worked fine. So I knew it might have been something like this, so I thought I'd change that little piece first to see if anything could happen. And I thought, okay, it didn't fix anything. Let me change the USB cable. The USB cable didn't change anything. And then obviously I thought, oh, well, I'm going to have to pull this apart because mine can be pretty hard to get to, these GPU risers. But I pulled this out and this was the issue. And as you can see, there is no marks on this that could show that this could be causing an issue. But this is what was causing the GPU fault error, because I'm not too sure why, but obviously something, it was interacting with the card and it was throwing an error. So obviously make sure you think about changing these kind of things here when you're having errors with your GPUs, because this is what everything you need to think about when you're doing the maintenance on your rigs, especially if you're having those errors. So there's another thing I want to talk about here. So let me grab this out here. Now you guys are going to know what this is. A lot of you might be using these. So obviously you got your PCIe Y splitter. Now the Y splitter, that's cool, no worries. I do use them, but I ordered these ones and the gauges are a bit too thin. I'd rather have a thicker gauge wire, so I don't use these ones. These ones are just there for backup, in case something does go wrong, and I can replace it and use it for a short term, and then put a good gauge wire back into the rig itself. Now obviously, as you can see here, you need to think about every single one of these things when you're doing your rigs. don't pass anything. If you have any errors, make sure you go over everything, because you're going to need it, and that's what's going to keep your rigs alive and going long term. And obviously you want to make sure if these cards start deteriorating and you're not keeping maintenance up on them, good luck reselling them, because you're not going to get much for them. Alright, so anyways, if so talking about maintenance, sorry, I'll just check this. So it's 11 degrees here at the moment. It's pretty cold. It is night time, but that is just, you know, it's good. The rigs are cold. Like, it's actually really good that these rigs are cold. Also guys, while you're here, make sure you check all your power cables as well. Make sure they're not melting, make sure there's nothing wrong with them, and make sure everything is intact. And obviously it's a pretty simple process, okay? And don't overload those cables. Now, it's really cool in here at the moment. It's only 11 degrees in the tent itself. Obviously, as I said, going into summer, it's going to get warm. I need to make sure that this thing here is fully maintained to make sure that I'm not going to have an issue with it in the future, okay? I want to get this thing to run through summer, then I can do some more maintenance on it, and then continue from there. And if I need to, if I get any faults, obviously, I'll follow all the steps I mentioned in this video. Okay, guys, so make sure, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, because I'm going to need to know. Okay, alright, anyways, guys, peace out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.